Welcome. In this presentation, we will explore the difference between needs and strategies. Understanding this difference can greatly enhance our connection with ourselves and others, paving the way for more meaningful relationships and effective communication and collaboration. Needs are universal qualities essential for a sustaining life and growth. As babies, our survival and healthy development depends on our needs for physical, emotional, and mental nourishment and protection from the elements. These shared needs stay with us. We continue to share basic life giving needs. Renowned thinkers like Marshall Rosenberg, Carl Rogers, and Abraham Maslow have explored needs as foundational for human motivation and well being. So here we can see the hierarchy of needs by Maslow, starting with the physiological needs like air, food, water, shelter, and then we go up to needs for safety. So that's security, that would be financial sustainability, the freedom from fear, and then we have social belonging, friends, family, intimacy. These are all qualities that are necessary for our ability to thrive and to bring our best self into any situation. And then we have resting on top of social belonging. We have the esteem needs, which includes self confidence and respect for others. And then we have on top of that, and notice all of these needs lie on top of each other. So our ability to focus on the upper layers of needs being met depends on the lower layers of needs being met. So, on top of esteem, we have the cognitive needs, that's a pursuit of knowledge and understanding, and then aesthetic needs for beauty and creativity. And then we have our highest needs. These are the big needs that drive everything. We we have this strong impulse to secure our physiological needs and our social needs and our cognitive needs so that we can get to that point of actually fulfilling that need for self actualization, and then that need for self actualization actualizing ourselves in the effort of self transcendence. So, our highest need, the need that drives everything, is this need for self transcendence, which means the need to help others. That is fundamental to who we are as human beings. When we get stuck in that place of physiological needs, when you have somebody who isn't acting in a way that that seems helpful to others, that means that they have one of these lower needs that is not being met, and they are stuck in trying to get that need met. But at our heart, we are all longing to contribute to others, to contribute to efforts and that are bigger than ourselves. Here we have a circle of needs that's developed from Marshall Rosenberg and nonviolent communication. You may are familiar with these from the universal life-giving qualities that I've shared with you. And then here we have Carl Rogers, who speaks to two of the most basic human needs. And again, these are these higher needs. And there's that one that is almost right at the top, self-actualization. In order to transcend, we have to be able to actualize ourselves. And then that need for positive regard, to be able to receive acceptance, respect, and affection from others. This is a huge um, driving need that you will see in the workplace, you'll see at home. It can really make things go awry, and it can actually really bring us together also. So, what are strategies? Strategies are specific actions that we use to fulfill needs. They're subjective, they're varied. And when we mistake strategies for a need, that's where conflict can arise. That's where people can really butt heads. So, just as an example, there are many different ways to cut and chop an onion. We may argue about what the best way to chop and cut an onion is. That's us arguing at the level of strategies. If we were going to go deeper in there of why we're wanting to get that onion chopped, that underlying need may be for physical nourishment, for food. We're not going to argue about that. I know that you need to eat. You know that I need to eat. That's not that's not a place where we have any conflict. So it can be really helpful when we're experiencing conflict to get to the heart of what are the needs that are alive in that situation, because that's a place where we can connect. When we get to that place of, okay, we're both wanting to make some food so that we can nourish ourselves. We're both maybe wanting to be as effective as possible. That is one of those basic needs. And maybe we're both actually also want to be able to express ourselves and create. And we are arguing about the strategy of how to cut an onion. But if we can connect at that level of we both want food, we both want to be able to express ourselves, we both want to be effective and efficient, we can see where we have that shared need. We're much more able to then go to finding strategies for actually meeting those needs that will work for both of us. So, all human beings share universal needs such as safety and meaning and sustainability. However, the ways that we meet these needs, our strategies, are subjective and varied. Clearly distinguishing between these two needs and strategies is vital to foster understanding, connection, and often collaboration. It's good to note also that it is possible for people to have different needs in any given moment. Consider an argument about where to go to dinner. Both people are hungry, both people have a need for nourishment. One may also be using eating, going to dinner or having dinner as a way to satisfy needs for pleasure, for community, or for expression. And so they may be choosing a strategy, which is to invite a whole bunch of people over and to cook a big meal. This would meet some needs for community and for self expression. And maybe they're cooking something that really gives them a lot of pleasure. So they're going to be meeting all of these needs at the same time as they're meeting that need for nourishment. And then say that person that they're arguing with, this person, in addition to the need for nourishment, has a need for rest and relaxation. So they're wanting to order out and have a quiet night at home. And so the conflict is really there. It's where one person is really having this need for rest and relaxation. The other person is wanting to be able to express themselves and have pleasure and community. So when these two people can really name the underlying, they're not really arguing about what to eat. They're really trying to figure out how to get their different needs met. They can have compassion for each other. Of course I understand that you want community. Of course I understand that you want to be able to express yourself, and you understand that I'm wanting rest and relaxation. So how can we make it so that we both get to have those needs met? Would you be willing to do this, to have this big dinner tomorrow night, another night, so I can have the rest and relaxation tonight? Or maybe we split up and I have my own meal and you invite your friends over. So, when we can connect at that level and really name the needs that are alive in the situation, we're much better equipped to find solutions. Naming the needs allows us to validate them, and it also empowers us to acknowledge and maybe even more in unmet needs. So this is a very powerful quote that I'm sharing here. When we trust that our needs matter, we're much more flexible about how they're going to be met. We're even more flexible about whether they will be met at all. This is something that really could come up at work. So, for example, in the workplace, a decision might need to be made that creates difficulty for one employee, but it's necessary for kind of the bigger picture. So, for example, perhaps this one employee is not going to be able to work on a project that they're really wanting to contribute to. They're really wanting to use this project as a way to express themselves and as a way to meet this desire for contribution. So, acknowledging their desire to contribute and to express themselves, um, and acknowledging the importance of those needs, and acknowledging that this person is that it's difficult for this person not to be able to be a part of this project, and difficult for them to be excluded, can really go a long way in helping that person move forward in positivity. And it can also maybe create a conversation about other ways that this person can be contributing and expressing themselves at work. So here are some everyday examples of needs and strategies. For example, we have a need for physical safety, and one way to get that need met might be to lock your door. Need for connection, a way to get that met could be calling a friend. Need for nourishment, one way to get that met could be preparing a meal. Another way to get that met could be going out to a restaurant, could be getting takeout. It could be asking your partner to make the meal for you. So again, there's a lot of different strategies to meet that need for nourishment and for all of these needs. So, what I'd love you to do is just pause the video and take a moment and think about at least one alternative strategy for each of the needs listed up above. So when we confuse strategies for needs, we really risk disappointment, conflict, and resentment. And these, because our attachments to specific strategies restricts our ability to find more flexible and inclusive solutions, and restricts that possibility of genuine connection, and like I said, really increases that possibility of resistance and conflict. And I love this picture of this little girl. This is where if we get stuck on strategies, you're going to end up often with two people just neither of them, nobody willing to budge and nobody willing to move forward to collaborate. So I'd love you to just take a moment to reflect and pick 3 strategies that you use maybe on a weekly basis, and write them down, and then identify what are the needs. What needs are you trying to meet with those strategies? For example, I get up in the morning often, and I go to the gym early in the morning, and I do this because I have a real need for physical movement, and if I don't do it right away, often other needs come into play, and I put this physical movement one aside, and I end up at the end of the day I haven't done it. So that's an example of one that I could look at. What are some other strategies that I could use to get this need for physical movement done? So, like I could go to a walk in the early morning, or I could join a running club, or maybe there's something that I could do to ensure that if I don't do that first morning workout, that I schedule something later in the day. So just play around and see what other strategies you might be able to come up with. Doesn't mean that you need to do them. This is just a stretch in your brain exercise. When we consciously recognize our needs, we open up to greater possibilities in how to fulfill them. Conscious choice deepens our connections with ourselves and with others, enabling us to live more intentionally and enriching the quality of our life. If you have any questions, you want to go deeper, you want more resources, please reach out to me. Thanks. Bye.